Hey guys, this is JJ and welcome to Crypto Grinders channel. And today we are going to be covering a short sharing session, I would say, for Raiden Network, right? And in fact, it's a sponsor featured. But we at Crypto Grinders, we always believe in giving the most unbiased point of view and just showing you and sharing with you all about the blockchain, and all that's about the different cryptocurrencies that's available in the market, right? So today's topic is all about Raiden Network. And I've seen a lot of videos that covered Raiden Network, and I think a lot of people in our channel, and different channels all around the world has already heard of Raiden Network. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to show you how it's different, right? A little bit way of looking at things. Of course, I won't be going so deep, right? I'll be going more of a specific level that lets you understand what's the benefit of Raiden Network, what's the token's utility, and what's the conclusion, right? And what exactly should we be looking out for when it comes to Raiden Network, all right? Of course, so we start off with here, all right, on Huffington Post. So it actually mentioned that blockchain is booming, except widespread adoption is right. So Raiden Network, it's much like a tool to scale Ethereum. All right, and the interesting thing is there's one main issue when it comes to the Ethereum. Suddenly there was the CryptoKitties craze, right? And everyone started purchasing the CryptoKitties and started buying it and stuff, and it actually clogs up Ethereum network. Not only did the gas, it also increased in terms of the time that was needed to send, right? The number of confirmations. So Raiden could actually be used, to resolve this issue. Now, of course, medium and big amounts that you need to send, you could do it via. But what about micro payments? What about peer-to-peer payments that's ranging from a few cents to a few dollars? You could then use it using Raiden, right, in the future. So that's one of the main usage that we can use for Raiden. All right. Now, of course, so back to this Raiden Network's website, and I think so the home page, right? You see a fast, cheap, scalable token transfer for Ethereum. The Raiden Network is an off-chain scaling. So to me, what I really feel Raiden Network is all about is that, the current problem is that there is no way to scale Ethereum because the transaction is clocked at times. And then solution is then introducing Raiden Network here and thus speeding up the latency of Ethereum time. It's able to scale Ethereum to another level. All right. So the Raiden Network is actually an off-chain scaling solution. And living near instant low-fee scalable payment system. Of course, you could view this video on your own time and understand how Raiden Network really works. But just to put it in a very simple point, scalable, fast, private, interoperable, low fees and micro payment. So it has also have a low transaction fees, and it's private, right? So the payer and payee's address, right? Only the amount transacted will be revealed in the channel after it's sent. So I think that's something that's very unique when it comes to payment processes or when it comes to payment sending. All right. So technology wise, of course, won't be going so in depth into it. I'll show you my slides later. And use cases, of course. Now, so to me, when you are able to scale Ethereum blockchain or you're able to scale a smart contract protocol or platform, it means you need to introduce scalability. You need to introduce fast transaction, right? Because if a blockchain, it's very difficult to scale. So it's about scaling the number of transactions that can take place at any given time on the blockchain, right? Ethereum network can only process about 10 transactions per second. Now, 10 transactions per second is pretty low, right? Based on the transaction that's going through every minute. So Ethereum will need to process around 1,000 transactions per second in order to achieve the same scalability to compete with the financial model that exists today. And I think that's really, really important. And Raiden has been around since 2015, trying to come up with a solution to kind of Ethereum has, an existing problem of that. And like I say again, Raiden is an off-chain payment network. This is actually, okay, how Raiden does it is very simple. Okay, it's done by broadcasting transaction on the blockchain, only each individual transaction between two parties. All right. Now the use cases are very simple: retail payments, peer-to-peer cash payments, micro payments, or instant token swaps. All right. So of course you could see these use cases right here on the website. All right, you could see it's very simple, the peer-to-peer cashless society, right? So there are some partnerships that Raiden will be announcing quite soon. They're also working with a German company that actually does electric car, and they're using this particular model as well. For payment, very, very crucial, and also based on IoT models, yeah, and instant token swap, right? So these are some of the upcoming ways that you can network to help out. All right. Okay. So So let's address what Raiden Network can resolve, right? So you have seen some of the problems that we have, all right? There are 4 main problems when it comes to the current existing blockchain network, all right, or current Ethereum blockchain. First of all, blockchain do not scale well, all right? And therefore, Raiden Network is then introduced so that it can provide a payment system based on payment channel technology that scales with the number of its users. So meaning to say, right, as more users come into play, or as more people accept Raiden as a way of transacting, as a way to to hasten the process of payment, it's self-sufficient, right? It's self-kick in. People supporting the network, okay, therefore there'll be more people, and therefore you speed up the network. All right, it doesn't clog up the network, it speeds up the network because you have more each other in that sense. All right. Now, latency. Blockchains are slow at the moment. Ethereum mines a new block approximately every second. Basically, Raiden Network transfer are as fast as text messages, right? I mean, to be honest, who uses text messages nowadays, right? Most of the time you're using the different, app, message, line, gram, and whatever not, you name it, right? But think of it this way: you transact in a few cents or a few dollars on a form of micropayment. So, for example, you want to buy a certain coffee. Sending Ethereum would take a lot of time because there's more confirmation. What if the network is clogged? What if the gas fees are high? So you don't want to have a situation where you are queuing up at a cafe and you're waiting for 5 minutes to 10 minutes for confirmation to come in, and therefore for Ethereum to transact. Alright, that doesn't make sense, right, in the long run. So therefore, Raiden is then used in this sense to settle the retail payment and the micropayments process. Alright? So there is no need to wait for confirmation anymore. So it's much like a text message. You send it to them and the transaction goes through. That's it. Alright? Of course, you have a lower transaction fee, basically. And also, Ethereum transactions are public, right? So here's a key idea here. Now, improving privacy. This is it. Now, if I were to send Ethereum from my own private address, my own another person, basically whoever you are watching this channel, right? And everyone can see on Etherscan, isn't it? Right? I could check. I think that's the good and bad thing when it comes to open source information. But the thing is Raiden private, right? Because it's between the payer and the payee, and the nodes forwarding the transfer. So take the nodes like a central, middleman kind of thing, like a kind of thing. So when channels are settled, only the sum of transaction will become visible to the entire world. Right? So the only open source information here is the sum of transaction. Right? And of course, there will be so much information stored, right, on a blockchain. It could be in terms of just cents, a few cents transaction, a few dollars. So there's no need to know exact figures or who are the addressee and the addresser, right? Who is sending me and the payer. So that's transaction in that sense. Right, the benefits of Raiden Network, being introduced, right? The network effect is present now. The more people use the Raiden Network, the more channels they'll be created. Right, and the more efficient a network system, much like a system where you support each other, right? The more users that comes into play, the more tokens that you're sending all over, it actually helps to support and to strengthen the network itself. And therefore, the channel when you're sending over between here, it strengthens the node, right? So comes in, basically introduces more stability. So this is it. Another thing is any transaction on Ethereum blockchain comes at a cost, right? Depending on transaction. Now, this makes on-chain transaction best suited for medium to large value transfers. Like I say, what if the transaction is a few dollars or even fractions of a cent? You just want to buy certain coffee, you want to buy certain monuments, you want to buy certain souvenirs, I cannot be sending 0. Ethereum to you and then wait for the confirmation to come. And when the fees are so much higher than the amount that I'm sending. So that, right, what is then here to, speed up the scale the issue, right? So Raiden transfers are also instant. Right, in a sense that as soon as you receive an off-chain Raiden transfer, the transfer value now belongs to you. Oh, isn't that cool, right? In contrast, the confirmation of on-chain transfers depends on block time and the time it takes miners to pick your transaction from a pool of pending transaction. Now, I guess this particular section here may confuse some people, but just understand confirmation of on-chain transfer means, for instance, I'm using Bitcoin, a Bitcoin transaction of maybe $50 to a friend over in the US, right? Washington, whatever. And the thing is, it takes so much time on the confirmation on the on-chain, and because the amount is small, the miners are not prioritizing the small transactions, right? Because they want to make miner fees, they would rather go for a larger miner fee, a higher transaction, right? A faster transaction, they will earn better. So that's what the consideration will be as we move, to a faster pace, world realm, and also in the cashless society that we have right now. This becomes a big problem. right? Because you're not instant as of now, and then Raiden Network is then here to resolve that issue. Alright, so next we have another inherent problem, which is scalability, like I mentioned. Capacity of most of the current blockchain is capped at a fixed or semi-fixed limit, regardless of the size of the user. But the capacity of Raiden Network scales linearly with the number, well, in the future leading to an efficient future-proof for network, right? So it makes it more efficient when more people are using it and transacting in it. I think that's the coolest thing, the network, and how it actually scales Ethereum transactions. Now, these are some of the particular companies and projects that we are aware of that are working, and they are mostly of ERC20 tokens because rate transaction on Ethereum blockchain itself. Most of these projects are ERC20 tokens. Alright, Micro Raiden is much like a product. Alright, so you could actually see it here when I click on Micro Raiden. You could see a payment channel framework for fast and free off-chain ERC20 tokens transfer. So a micropayment, basically a micro raid like right, or like a service of Raiden Network, alright, and that is created. There are certain news that micro Raiden is it's incoming soon, right? It's still being tested and prototyped here, but it may come on in 2018. Alright, the exact date I'm not so sure, but maybe, right? And therefore you will be able to scale in terms of certain Ethereum transfer network, right? And it's able to use it in IoT markets, alright, and pay-per-use markets. Alright, so one of the projects that you see that Micro Raiden is actually being used in is this project that's called Smart Mesh. Alright, so Smart Mesh is actually a Chinese tech company that is using Micro Raiden as the default payment channel. The first of its kind. It was the default payment channel for IoT devices offline. So basically now it's on a cashless mode, right? There's an app you to send money from a user to a B user on the Smart Mesh model. Alright, so it's combining the idea on the Ethereum blockchain or smart contract, and then you have Raiden here to accept micro payments, right? To speed up the transaction between payments, right? And that empowers to do what it has or what it's supposed to do. Alright, so you could take a look and read up on Smart Mesh. I think I love his website, well done. And there's a lot of information on smartmesh.com. Take a look at it. Yeah. Okay, so other than just that few projects that are working on Raiden with Raiden, these are some of the different projects. Other projects are actually working with Raiden as well. They may not be featured right here. Alright, so just let you and that's a lot of what these projects are all about and why are they using Raiden. And why exactly is it for payment processors, payment channels, or even for IoT, right? Which is Internet of Things devices, right? Okay. So now token utility. Now, question then would be what exactly it's for? To speed up the network? Is it to use as fees when you transfer? But it's basically yes and no, right? There are two kinds of fees here: a protocol level fees and a peripheral fees. Right, so a protocol level fees here to keep the payment channel network balanced. Nodes will use fees to prevent their channels from being depleted over time. So these fees will be comparatively small and be denominated in the token that is transferred in the channel. Alright, so basically what it meant is that in the nodes, right, nodes is much like the bank, right, in the Raiden Network channel. A node like a central bank kind of thing, an idea. So the protocol level fees are all inside. So whenever you transact something, it is within that node itself. Okay, so take it as that, right? Peripheral fees, on the other hand, will be payable to services in the network that, for example, assist with finding a path with sufficient capacity, or services that provide channel monitoring services for offline users. And users running these services themselves will not need to pay these fees, but can earn them instead. So to put it in a very simple way, if you are a project using the Raiden Network, and you're able to find a path, or you're able to find a channel, right? A group, kind of like an ecosystem on its own, and you're able to find that. And with that, you have a lot of that particular channel. So if your project has a lot of user base of people that are invested into your particular that is built out, you will not have to pay them be paid. Okay, so whatever that's being paid in that channel or in that path will then be paid to you. So that's peripheral fees. So as most users will not run a full node, they will need to pay the Raiden to participate in the. Therefore, the more usage has, the more valuable Raiden should be. Alright, so as more users comes in, therefore you have an increase in the price of Raiden Network, right? So think of it this way: if you have a fast and you have a almost free that I could send a small amount from myself to someone over a mail, right? So for example, I had a good meal that $10 US. and I don't want to send Ethereum because it takes so long, I could do it via Raiden tokens. I could do it projects that are built on Raiden tokens itself, right? So it's useful and yet it's untraceable, right? Okay, so conclusion, right? This is my particular take on it. This is not based on crypto grinders, but just disclaimer, please practice your due diligence right here. We have no stake in how you actually trade, but do take responsibility and do account for your own trades as well. Okay, so the Raiden is their technology to provide near instant low fee scalable and privacy preserving payments based on Ethereum ERC20 tokens, and to extend current because of scalability, of course, into the fast transaction. That's what it can do. Okay, now if one analysis that they can help fix the Ethereum scaling issues by charging a small fee, we believe that most people would gladly pay the fee and enjoy it. Because to resolve that Ethereum scaling issue, alright, with the high gas fees, why not, right? I could pay a little small fee, but I could still transact the same amount at instant speed, right? Why not? Right? So Raiden token is still a long-term hold if it can resolve the issue of ERC20 tokens enough. Alright, now the keyword here is fast enough. Why? Because there's so much competition coming into this space, and so much. So if Raiden Network and Micro Raiden can be created fast enough, to resolve the scalability issue of Ethereum, be groundbreaking, and this could actually form the basis of Ethereum blockchain itself. Alright, so thank you for tuning in to the simple sharing of and do, if you go to like, subscribe, and comment below. Let us know how you feel about Raiden Network project as well, and of course, subscribe to Crypto Grinders on Facebook, our Facebook group, and our Facebook page. Alright, so I'll see you around. JJ Andy, co-founder of Crypto Grinders, signing out.